the Madman!
Welcome to the Custom Cards of the Week. Next week's Custom Cards of the Week will excitingly look at how everyone had their takes on the mini set cards. But we've got a good set of cards here as well. We'll begin with a Priest legendary spell, the Pacifist Will. 3 mana holy spell, start of game, set your opponent's max health to 100. If fully healed, they become your ally. Design 2 stars, balance 5 stars. The intent of this card, which is not currently clear, and it should be templated as such, would be start of game, cast this, set your opponent's max health to 100. If fully healed, they become your ally, or something like that. Or rather, it should just say fully healed, that you win the game. They become your ally is cool text, but it's a little unclear on what that means, which is basically you win because your opponent has decided to ally with you. By the way, they still lose. Problem with this card is it's very uninteractive. It's very apparent when you start that you're basically not going to be interacting with your opponent at all. You're just going to be healing them. It's a little novel, but you know, whatever. At the end of the day, it's not very much different from straight up dealing 30 damage from purely spells. This will just be healing 60 damage with purely spells. And it's like, yeah, whatever. And before you say, wait a second, isn't Quest Priest the same way? Not very interesting. You're just playing a solitaire game. Well, you are also still like putting out minions, casting spells on curve, really changing up your deck construction. And sure, this would change your deck construction as well. Potential cards that you could print that heal things might have to change up because of this card. At the end of the day, this card just is meh because I think it's not that exciting to win by healing your opponent. And it's not very interactive. Boom! Grand Saboteur, a legendary 4 mana 4/3 neutral. Battlecry, give your opponent a big red button that destroys their hero when played. Design 3 stars, balance 4 stars. I think this is an example of like good flavor, but not great design in the sense that the flavor is a false choice. Ultimately, this card just gives your opponent a useless card that they can't ever play. And that's a little bit problematic as well because it's a little bit unfun, especially if you were to copy this Battlecry, or if you were to repeat the Battlecry. And sure, it's a lot of mana to spend on a 4/3 vanilla to give your opponent one hand space they can't use. So it's probably not that problematic. In fact, the balance is a 4-star, not because it's too strong, it's actually a little too weak. I think that the design is a problem in that this card is just griefing your opponent, and you especially grief your opponent when you just copy this a bunch of times. Copy the effect. Oh, there's also another big problem with this card. Unseen Saboteur, or any card that would force your opponent to play a card. There's only Unseen Saboteur right now, but there could be cards like that in the future. Unseen Saboteur can be a win condition with big red button, and that's not a healthy combo. It might actually be overpowered. What's the design change to this to like make it alright? Well, big red button can just be take 10 or like take 15 damage, a very large amount of damage. Next up, we've got Zappy, Timekeeper, a tradable legendary for neutral, 2 mana 2/3. If your hero would take 15 or more damage at once, summon this from your deck and your hero becomes immune this turn. Design 5 stars, balance 5 stars. I quite like it. I think the only real change needs to be instead after once and between summons. So if your hero would take 15 or more damage at once, instead summon this from your deck. Blah, 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 blah. I think right now it's not that clear, but you are supposed to basically block the damage that's taken when you take a massive amount of damage. And that massive amount of damage doesn't happen very often, so it's a pretty anti-combo specific card, meant to delay against one really big minion or against one really big effect, such as Denathrius. When you trade the card as well, you reveal to the opponent that, oh hey, this effect is in my deck. Anyways, cool card. I think it's cool to have a tech card like this to counter combo decks. Combo decks can play around this card by fatiguing your opponent, because then Zappy Timekeeper is not in their deck. Interesting counterplay potential here. Scapegoat. Neutral 3 mana 2/7 beast. All minions and spells must target this. So essentially Mega Taunt. Design 4 stars, balance 3 stars. We've seen Custom Hearthstone come up with cards like this before. I think this basically has too strong a baseline in stats. Should be a 2/5. Could also add hero powers, must target this as well. Solid card. I think Spell Taunt, or like Mega Taunt, or whatever this is a mechanic that can be explored. Next up, Rastakhan, King of the Ring, a warrior legendary. 10 mana, 10/10, Battlecry summon 4 copies of this minion, and a brawl. Love the imagery of this. Design 5 stars, balance 3 stars. If it wasn't clear what this card does, you get 40/40 in stats with your 4 Rastakhans, and then you cast Brawl, which kills all minions except 1. And since you have 4 Rastakhan on the field, the chances are Rastakhan will win the Brawl. But that's not always going to be the case. Rastakhan could lose the Brawl. This could just be normal Brawl as a result, and then it would just cost 10 mana. So you paid 10 mana for a Brawl. Womp womp. Basically a pretty swingy card when it does hit. I think the card does not need to be 10 mana. Very, very costly if you play this for 10 mana and then you miss the Brawl and then you just feel terrible. So I think the card should essentially be redesigned to be somewhere in the 5 to 8 mana range. The lower the mana cost you put it at, the lower the stats of Rastakhan, of course. Next up, we got a Druid Nutty Philosopher. 2 mana, 1/1 beast. Choose one, dredge, then draw a card. Or draw a card, then dredge. Design 5 stars, balance 5 stars. It's a squirrel, beast, in Druid. Makes sense. Squirrels like finding nuts, which is kind of like dredging. So the flavor is really quite there. There is actually a noticeable difference between dredging then drawing the card, or vice versa. If you really need to top deck a card right now, you dredge and then you draw a card. If you want a little bit more information, you draw and then you dredge. If you ever combine them both, you would dredge and then draw 2 cards, then dredge again, which is perfectly fine and good. Cool card. It's a nice kind of minor filler type card. It is strictly better than Novice Engineer, which is totally fine. For Shaman, there is a Yulon, the Jade Serpent. 10 mana, 10/10, legendary. Start of game and death rattle. The start of game is similar to Cthulhu's. You shatter into 10 Jade scales. After you cast them all, resummon this. But you're unable to draw this card at the beginning of the game, and you're also unable to draw Jade scales. A Jade scale is 1 mana. Summon a Jade Golem. Summon a bigger and bigger man. 1 mana, 1/1, 1 mana, 2/2, 1 mana, 3/3, 4/4, 5/5, etc. Until you get to the 10th one cast, in which case you get the 10/10, and you get Yulon the Jade Serpent as well. And when Yulon the Jade Serpent dies, it shuffles another 10 Jade Scales into your deck. Design 5 stars, balance 5 stars. I think it's a cool control shaman win condition. Changes the way that the shaman would want to be run. You'd want a bit more card draw. I think such a slow and inevitable win condition is fine. Next up, we got a meme card. It's the Philosopher. 10 mana, 0/1 conflicted. Infuse 30. Gain Battlecry, win the game. But would I have been useful had the minions that infused me actually defeated the opponent? What if I hadn't drawn them? What if I hadn't been drawn? What is my purpose? Does winning even accomplish something? Is it all simply an illusion of an achievement? Meme rating 2 stars. I smiled a little within, but I did not chuckle. If you were expecting me to say something deeper about the card, I have nothing more to add. Dark Foretelling. Warlock, 1 mana fell spell. Dredge, your next hero power costs 0. Design 5 stars, balance 5 stars. I think it's a nice simple card, very fair. It's a card that seems good enough that you would consider it in a lot of Warlock decks. It's kind of a mini tool, but it's certainly not overpowered, I would say. It's a lot like tracking, except it comes with the you must use your hero power and cost 2. You could use this to, like, after a turn where you have hero power, then you Dark Foretelling, and then next turn you can, like, actually charge up a free hero power. Meh. Flexible. It's got a few different uses, and ultimately it's a small price to pay for a little bit more consistency. Nice, simple, good design. Good, clean, card design, which I could easily see as a real card. Finally, we saved the best for last. It's the most upvoted card of the week, and in this case, it is the Trump card of the week. It's Lord Legendor. Shaman legendary card, 5 mana 4/4, battlecry, transform all other minions into pitiful common ones that cost 2 less. Design 5 stars, balance 4 stars. The addition of the word pitiful in the card text is excellent. Author even came up with when summoned quotes such as filthy peasants, you are all beneath me. Death sound beaten by trash? Genuinely offended. Very cool Castle Nathria themed card where this is a very pompous guest looking down at everyone from the balcony above. Transforms all minions, friend or foe, into pitiful common ones that cost 2 less. So it's a devolve effect, but it doesn't only hit your opponent's side, it also hits your own side. For that reason, I do believe this card can be buffed. My suggestion would be like 5 mana, 4/5, or 4/6. Fun little card to put into your control shaman deck, or perhaps even your evolve shaman deck, because, well, while devolving your cards is generally bad when you're in a deck that has very high mana costs, even though you're devolving by 2, it's certainly hurting you a lot less than the opponent. So those are your custom cards of the week. Really looking forward to the next one, where there will probably be submissions which have more to do with the mini set. Will we get to see some card authors design cards that work with the mini set cards that were revealed? We'll see.